Hello! So we are back at Alderney in Microsoft Flight Simulator. We have the Sting S4 this time to fly. And you will notice Alderney looks quite different this time than it did last time. So I bought the scenery from the marketplace in the week and recorded a video with it. And I was quite surprised to see some of the features, such as the control tower, weren't quite at the level I'd been expecting. So I did some investigation, and it turns out that the version of the scenery for sale in the marketplace is a very old version of it. And if you go to Ini Builds, you could find a much newer version of it, which I have now acquired. And I've been talking to the developers at Boundless that developed the scenery, and they were quite interested about this situation as well. They couldn't explain it either. So just for your own interest and amusement, we're going to zoom over to the control tower in the drone view, and you can suddenly see, everything that's inside here. If I could control the camera. So suddenly, you've got the control tower is fully modelled. So yes, it's a little bit of a mystery, and obviously all the buildings around the complex are all nicely modelled now, which they weren't previously. So let's go and get back in our aeroplane and go for a fly around the island and see what else is different. So if we press insert and then end, we will close the canopy on the Sting S4 and we'll go for a fly. So we open the fuel shutoff valve, we scoot sideways and move the propeller condition to high RPM. And let's see if we got the parking brake on. I don't think this aircraft actually has parking brakes, but we'll see. What do we do next? We go and turn on the main power. We can leave the instruments off for the moment. We can turn on the nav lights just to warn people outside. There isn't a beacon on this aircraft, so let's go and turn the engine over. There we go. Usually takes a couple of turns on the Sting S4 to get it to turn over. So engine is ticking over. We can then turn on the avionics. And there we go. And there's Alderney. And I think the zoom on this one is here. There we go. We can zoom in a little bit. Strobe lights to on, landing lights to on. We're just going to leave the lights on as we taxi around. There's nobody really to tell us off. Okay. So let's go and have a look around the airfield, shall we? So I'm going to zoom out slightly so you get a good view of things. I'm going to move the microphone to in front of me so you get to hear my voice properly. I'm still not very good at taxiing the S4. It's very light and very powerful, so it takes a little bit of practice. Okay, so today we're going to take notice of the direction the wind is coming. So it's coming down runway 08. So as against the other day when it was going the opposite direction and we took off with the wind. So we're going to pay a little bit more attention to it today. So we'll taxi out to the beginning of the runway and give ourselves a much smoother takeoff run. So on the whole, the modelling of the coastline is going to be broadly similar, but you're going to see a lot more three-dimensional objects out and in and around the island. So you're going to see boats, ships, things like that are built into the scenery, and I was kind of expecting them to be there previously. I've gone down a bit of a bank here, haven't I? And I've gone and gimbal locked the nose wheel, which was really clever of me. Okay, I've done it. Right, let's go and get this airplane in the air before I have any more mishaps. So full power. Takeoff flaps. It's a bit of a bumpy runway. You can take off from the bumps. It's quite amusing when you do. So there we go. Come back to 75% power. We'll pull the propeller speed back as well. So you can see immediately we got boats out in the bay, which is quite interesting. So let's go over to the normal pilot position. So before we go anywhere, let's do a little loop around the airfield and have a look at it. So you can see this looks a lot better than it did. So it's obviously had a lot more attention. Even though it was good to begin with, you've got suddenly assets of particular buildings in the town. The runways and the grass areas always look a lot better as well. So it's overall, it's just an enormous improvement. Let's scoot around the airfield. Not quite sure Flight Simulator knows what it's doing, putting jets on the grass. They would be on the hard standing, but we'll let that one go. It'd be quite interesting to see if the cricket pitch has been updated. I noticed when I watched back the video I recorded the other day that there's a cricket pitch in the middle of the town. So let's go and scoot over the coast, and we'll fly around the coastline to have a little look at some of these buildings that have been improved. So let's slow down. Should we do this from outside? Yeah, it's better, isn't it? There's obviously a tanker out there. There's a cruise ship this side. There's another tanker out further over there. And these are all part of the scenery. So there are various historic locations around the scenery which are really cool, really well done. So there's a fort down here on the... There's a road that gets submerged. There's a similar one at Lindisfarne in the northeast of the UK. A road that becomes submerged with the tides. So they really have gone the extra mile with quite a lot of this. I'm just looping around to show you some of the scenery in a bit more detail. So yeah, this is all custom 3D assets and it's really nicely done now. So let's continue on. So there's Lighthouse, which wasn't there before. I was looking for it and expecting to see it, and I kept my mouth shut, but I thought, okay, something's wrong here. But yeah, the lighthouse I was expecting to see is now there. So again, we'll circle the lighthouse and have a good look at it along the way. There's also another historic building down here on the headland. So there's an old fort by the look of it. It's very, very nicely done, isn't it? So there's another fort further along. This place was fortified to no end, wasn't it? Obviously it's been through several wars and changed hands several times. So we're just chugging along about 35–40% power, and this will happily fly along at about 90 knots, doing that all day long. There's another fort here.
500.
More custom buildings. Or fortified structure, I should say. There's the harbour, which now has fishing boats in it, as it should. Makes a huge difference, doesn't it? So much better than it was.
500.
Again, more custom 3D assets, more fortifications. This island has such a rich history through various major conflicts over the years. Okay, so we're back around the island to the airfield. So let's go inland and go and have a look over the town. You can see the field boundaries drawing in. So when you're close enough, the fields near the airport have got all the boundaries on them, which is good fun.
500.
So let's go over, is it St Anne's, the major centre? Let's just have a quick look. St Anne, sorry, is the major area which we're about to fly over. The place near the beach is called Newtown. So this is St Anne. So let's go and slow right down, get the flaps down, and see if we can have a look at some of these buildings that have been modelled really, really nicely. They've done a cracking job with it, haven't they? The developers that worked on this are called Boundless, and they don't have their own online store, but they sell through AnyBuilds and through the marketplace. They've done several other areas as well. Okay, so I think I'm trying to remember where the cricket pitch was. Because it amused me, because the grass was obviously a lot longer than you would expect for a cricket pitch. Unless it's not there anymore, of course. If this has been updated, maybe they dug up the cricket pitch. Oh, here it is. This just amused me enormously, because, yeah, this is a telltale that there's a mode stripe, which means it's a cricket pitch, basically, usually. But yeah, look how long the grass is. You'd never play cricket on that.
500.
Maybe it's in the off-season. They're letting it grow. Okay, let's go back down to the airfield, and we'll go and join the pattern and come back in on runway 08. So hopefully this kind of redeems this scenery. I mean, it was already very good, but now it is stunning. If you go and check in the AnyBuilds store, you can buy it from there, and then obviously put it into your community folder. Or I think the AnyBuild Manager program puts it in there for you, actually. Yes, it did, yeah. So I didn't have to actually do anything yourself. So if you go to AnyBuilds, they've got an AnyBuild Manager, which manages the purchase and installation process for you, so it's all single click. It's really nicely done. Okay. So turn over the headland. There's the runway. We can obviously side slip the S4 as well to lose some height and speed in a hurry if we wish to. It doesn't side slip a lot, but enough to be helpful. We can obviously control the propeller speed as well in this aircraft, which is helpful as well. In fact, we're going too fast. We're too high and too fast, so what we're going to do, rather than just force it onto the runway, is go round. Just do a quick orbit. Back out over the headland. It's quite nice that there's these rocks out here which form a really nice visual reference or a turning point. And then you can turn base and see the runway over here. And judge it quite easily. There we go, we're in a much better position this time. You'll also notice the lights on the approach are in a much better place than the marketplace version. So everything's been kind of corrected to a significant level, so it represents the real airfield. Okay, flaps up, and we're rolling. So there you go. Even just taxiing in, it looks so much nicer, doesn't it? Really does. Okay, so I'm going to go and park up. And bring this video to a close. So hopefully you enjoyed this. If you like the videos I put out, please do click the like button, subscribe, and if you click the bell icon up in the top corner of YouTube, it will tell you when I put new content out. So I'm going to engage the parking brake and turn the mags off and switch everything back off again. Okay, I'll see you again next time. So that was the Sting S4 in the Alderney scenery made by Boundless, which you can get from the Builds store. Okay, I'll see you again soon.